Hey folks! Alright, so just before we get started with the differences between active and passive investors, I just want to touch upon a few things here. I want to let you know, no matter how many hats or bandanas I wear, this is a very important and serious matter. What we're trying to do with this channel here is to design you a system that will help you get to financial freedom faster and stress-free of money management. This can change your life, at least it did to mine. But let's be honest, designing the whole system will take you a bit of time, a bit of study, and some energy as well. I know how overwhelming investing for the first time is. Believe me, I've been there. But this is life-changing. In other words, I guess what I'm really trying to say here is that society nowadays puts more value on people that look like they are winning on social media rather than the real ones that are investing, working hard in the background and will actually win at life. And when you invest, when you really start to put your money into longer term thinking, well, you really pick your side, but it will require you some work. Anyway, now that I've completely depressed everyone, let's get into the video. Alright, so if I've done my job properly, at the end of this video, you need to know what are passive and active investing and what are all of the advantages and disadvantages of each strategy. Let's start out with passive investing. So what most people think of investing in our society is you have to pick certain companies. You have to say, all right, I'm going to invest into Apple, Google, Amazon, or I'm going to invest into that healthcare company that I've never heard about before. That's not the case at all. When you're doing passive investing, what you do is you invest into trackers that reproduce the performance of indices. Oh my God, you just say tracker and indices. I have no idea what it means. Let me explain. A tracker is just reproducing the performance of indices. It's just an investment vehicle that will give you the performance of a specified index. So what you really need to know is that when you invest into a tracker, you will get the performance of an index. So now, what is the upper thing that is the index? Well, an index is just a pool of companies that track maybe an economy, a sector, or a thematic. We talked about the S&P 500, representing the 500 largest companies in the US. Well, if you invest into a tracker, reproducing the performance of that index, you will get that average performance of the S&P 500. But it doesn't have to be necessarily about economies. You don't have to bet on the American economy through the S&P 500. You don't have to bet on the French economy investing in the CAC 40, representing the 40 largest companies in France. But you can invest into sectors or thematics. Sectors would be energy, automobile, technology. That's all sectors you can invest in. Thematics would be renewable energy or waste management, water treatment. What does that all mean? Well, it means that the awesome part of being a passive investor is that you can pick with your belief what is the best strategy for you. For example, me, I'm really big on renewable energy. I'm really big on water treatment and waste management. I think it's going to be really important thematics over the next 10 years. So when I invest my money into one of those trackers, I'm investing in the, 50 companies that are in the index. So I'm actually really diversified here because I don't have the risk of one of the company going bankrupt. A company going bankrupt means that they filed for bankruptcy, the company is not going to operate anymore, and all of your shares, all of your investment is basically worth zero. So now let's talk about all of the advantages of being a passive investor. Well, the first one is, and we just talked about it, is you are really diversified. Instead of investing into one single entity, you invest into a pool of a lot of companies, and if one of them fails and goes to bankruptcy, well, it's just going to get replaced into the index and you won't even feel it. And that's what's amazing. So if the economy you invested in does well, the sector or the thematic does well, well, you will do well too, and you don't have the risk of one of the company going bankrupt. So the second advantage of being a passive investor is that it's the most cost-efficient strategy. What I mean by that is that the amount of fees that you pay when you invest into a tracker is way lower than if you pay an active investor that will pick companies for you. The third advantage is that it's the most tax efficient. Because you invest for the very long term and you put your money into one tracker and you don't look at it for the next 5-10 years, well, the amount of tax that you're going to pay are going to be very little. But for that, you need to set up the proper tax vehicle, and we will do a separate video on that because I don't want this video to be 15 minutes long. So all of the advantages of being the passive investor are you're really diversified, it's really cost efficient, and it's tax efficient as well. Now, the main thing of being a cash investor is really that you don't have to do anything else. Then from the word go, you pick what portfolio is gonna fit your risk aversion and how diversified you want to be, and then that's it. You just pick your 5 to 7 trackers and you only have to put your money every month or every 3 months into it, and you forget about it. You don't have to be following what's the company doing, are they losing, winning market share, who's the CEO, how's the management doing. You don't have to do all that. So let's say it's a way laid back strategy, and it will actually be the one that is fitted for most of you guys. What is the big disadvantage of being a passive investor? Well, it's basically the upside. Let's think about it. If one of the companies that is in your index that you are tracking does really well, you have 49 other of them if the index has 50 companies, so you won't feel the upside as much. But that's the definition of diversification. Basically, if everything goes wrong with one company, you won't really feel it because it's 1 out of 50, but everything goes right, well, you will feel it, but less much so that if you put all your money into it. All right, so that was it for passive investing. We will talk about active investing now. What do active investors do? Well, active investors basically do what everyone thinks they do. They pick companies. They think that those particular companies will outperform the index and will do really well compared to their peers. To be an active investor, the thing is you need to know a lot more about finance. You need to know what is the business model of the company, you need to know what is going on in their particular industry, and you need to know valuation metrics. Valuation metrics is basically you want to know how much you are paying for this company today compared to how much they earn. Financial professionals refer to it as the PE ratio or the price to sales ratio. That is being a stock picker and an active investor. What are the advantages of being an active investor? Well, active investors basically, they have no limit of upside. If you pick a company and the share price appreciates by 10 times over 5 years, well, you've made 10 times your money. But it goes the other way around as well. If you pick a company and then the company completely goes bankrupt, as we said earlier, well, the shares are going to go to zero and you would have lost all of your money. When you are an active investor, you want to know what's going on with the company. You want to follow the management. You want to know if they're doing really well. You want to know if they're losing or winning market share. And you want to know if the industry that they are in is actually expanding. You also want to know that active management, when they pick companies, they can pick between two kinds of companies. Companies are either growth stocks or value stocks. A growth stock is a company that is growing revenues and earnings a lot. If I were to take an example, I could take Tesla. Tesla is growing massively and they're producing a lot more cars, but they're not very profitable yet. They're not earning a lot of money, but their revenues are growing massively. That is a growth stock. Basically, those companies are priced out far out into the future for what they will become. On the other hand, a good example of a value stock would be a company like McDonald's. McDonald's is making a lot of money, but it's not growing very fast. I mean, let's be honest. Where else are they going to go? They are already everywhere. To the moon.
No action.
Houston now controlling, Atlantis on its way.
Now, I just want to point out something here. There are a hell of a lot of research that have proven that 75% of professional active managers underperform indices. That is, the financial return that they will obtain is lower than what you could get just reproducing index from your cash using trackers as a passive investor. So let's wrap this up. What I would recommend you to do if you're a beginner and you've never invested before and you want to learn about it is to start by being a passive investor. You want to pick your trackers, you want to have discipline, and you want to average your cost basis over time, no matter if the markets are going up or if the markets are going down. I promise you it's boring, but it will make you a hell of a lot of money if you keep a long-term horizon. Anyway, that is it for this video. I think you guys know the drill. If you learned anything, consider liking and subscribing. That will really help me develop the channel. Also, I've got a big surprise for you. I've been working on a document so that I can give you guys the best trackers to invest in 2021 and how you want to build a really robust portfolio just for a long-term investment horizon. I'm just trying to find a way to deliver it to you guys so that it doesn't look like just a series of numbers where you're gonna be like, oh, that is so hard, I don't understand anything. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. As always, don't be